After a man in a fake suicide vest stabs 3 people before the police shoot him dead, why was he out of prison? Did the police do enough to stop him? And what does the government do now about convicted terrorists?
BBC Newsbeat.
Let's go straight to Newsbeat's Stefan Powell in Streatham in South London as the investigation into 20-year-old Sudesh Aman goes on. Stefan is actually within the police cordon.
Inside the police tape, because I live about 150 metres from where this all happened, there are police officers with fluorescent green coats stood on guard at both ends of the road. Behind one of them, numbered yellow markers on the floor outside Boots, where Sudesh Aman was shot dead. Forensic officers in pale blue onesies are there too. They were working at the scene until late into the night. We also know that police have been searching addresses in South London and Hertfordshire looking for more information. Yesterday afternoon, though, the street that's just there, Streatham High Road, was a very different place. It was packed full of shoppers, people out for a coffee or going to the cinema, and all of a sudden they realised something serious was happening.
I saw the blood and I saw the guy on the floor and I see other people running, and then I see the police coming straight up the hill.
We saw the guy run out of the hardware shop with something in his hand, and the shopkeeper yelling at him, and then he kept running the opposite direction to us, thankfully, and then we heard the gunshots.
Plainclothes police with handguns shot Sudesh Aman dead after he'd attacked people with a knife. 3 people were hurt. Officers had already been following him. Then police with semi-automatic weapons, protective vests and helmets evacuated the area and locked down nearby streets, telling people this was all terrorist related.
The suspect had been recently released from prison where he had been serving a sentence for Islamist related terrorism offences.
The victims are in hospital recovering from their injuries. Not everyone at the time though realised just how serious this was.
Sorry guys, you're going to have to close, we've got to evacuate, I'm afraid. What? There's been a terrorist incident.
Just give us half an hour, people just have to leave.
Madam, a terrorist has been shot dead just down there. They've got a possible IED vest on them, which is a bomb. If you want to try and stay open for half an hour and you want to put people's lives in danger, then be my guest.
This road on a Monday morning is usually really busy with cars and buses. This is a main route in and out of South London.
Really residential around here, so no, not what you'd expect. I was shocked, but it also felt like the police response was really quick, so that was reassuring, to be honest with you.
As the people here start to get over the shock and surprise of what's happened, we're also finding out more about the man in the middle of all this. He'd recently been let out of prison halfway through a 3-year sentence. Newsbeat's Callum Leslie has more on what we know about him.
And to do that, we've come to talk to Daniel De Simone. Now, Daniel, you're a BBC journalist here as well, and you know Sudesh Aman pretty well because you covered his court case when he first went to jail. So we know he was 20, and before all this started, he was at college in North London studying science and maths. But in 2018, he admitted having and sharing terrorist information. What sort of stuff are we talking about?
So there was a whole series of manuals really setting out how to make bombs and sort of ISIS instructional manuals showing out how to carry out terrorist attacks. But what was particularly striking is he had a series of manuals showing how to carry out lethal knife attacks, and there was quite a lot of evidence about him telling his girlfriend at the time that he kind of favoured knife attacks over bomb attacks.
What other sort of stuff was he talking about with her and the rest of his family?
There was a lot of conversations with the girlfriend. He sent her beheading videos, ISIS videos, told her that he'd given a pledge of allegiance to the Islamic State, and there was this evidence about a family WhatsApp group which he had used to try and radicalise younger members of his family by sending them Al-Qaeda magazines, ISIS magazines. So this was someone who was really very prolific online.
What was he like as a person from the sense that you got from him from covering that court case?
He was sort of laughing when he was being sentenced. He was waving and smiling at someone in the public gallery of the court. He didn't appear to be someone who was regretting what he'd done. I mean, I have to cover a lot of terrorism cases, and it was quite striking, and I think I was quite troubled by him because I remember thinking he is very, very radical. The fact that he came out of prison around a week ago, and he was being trailed and full armed surveillance team on him. Police, MI5, they do not trail people to that extent unless they really are worried about it.
Newsbeat.
As Daniel was saying there, this attack has raised lots of questions about why Sudesh Aman was able to stab 3 people. Our politics editor Jim Connolly has been looking at the government response.
Yeah, many people today are asking one thing: how come he was free to do it? Remember, he'd been released from prison around a week ago, midway through a jail term for terror offences. The government says it wants tougher sentences for convicted terrorists. Here's Home Secretary Priti Patel.
Ending the early release of counter-terrorism offenders. It's right that these individuals are kept behind bars, and we need to stop their early release from prison.
So, Jim, tough talk there from the minister in charge.
Yeah, but it's worth noting that this is not a new government. New PM, yes, but current laws could have been changed at any time in the past decade. And this morning we've heard criticism of how not enough is done to stop people being radicalised when they're in prison. The idea there that, yes, you can increase the time someone's in prison, but unless it's forever, they'll come out and at some point they could want to cause terror and harm.
Newsbeat.
OK, Jim, wait there. I want to talk to you about something else in a moment. This is Monday's Newsbeat. We're on till 1. So what else have we got, Margot Robbie?
Blah, 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 blah. It's a bit much, really.
Bit more to it than that, thank you very much. The BAFTAs were last night. Rebel Wilson was there to present Best Director, a category where no women were nominated.
I don't think I could do what they do. Honestly, I just don't have the balls.
A bit of a row about diversity at the awards and how they make it better. Sinead will be here to explain that in a moment.
Newsbeat. BBC Newsbeat.
Before that, though, back to Jim. Got to get you on Brexit, Jim. You said a lot last week on Newsbeat that Brexit was only getting going when we officially left on Friday night.
Yeah, but arguably that was just a technical moment. How we trade with the European Union from next year is still to be decided. Have a listen to the Prime Minister earlier.
We've made a choice. We want a comprehensive free trade agreement similar to Canada's.
We keep hearing him saying Canada type of deal. What does that mean?
Well, the European Union has a deal with Canada, and they don't charge taxes on most of the things they sell to each other. But it doesn't cover the service industry, things like banking, and 80% of UK jobs are actually connected to that.
And what is the European Union saying?
Well, the EU says it will sign up to a Canada type of deal if the UK still follows some of the EU rules. A big no for Boris Johnson.
BBC Newsbeat.
Thanks to Jim. Now, 2 big themes at this year's BAFTA Awards: sustainability and diversity. Sinead Garvan was there last night. She's here now. Hi, Sinead.
Hello.
Interesting that the winners weren't the main talking point.
Well, I wonder about this, whether it's because the same actors are winning the same awards. So, Best Actor to Joaquin Phoenix, Best Actress Renée Zellweger, Brad Pitt, Supporting Actor. So, no real surprises. But let's just touch on sustainability, because this was really visible. No plastic bottles of water were allowed anywhere, and I actually saw them being taken off people as well by security. And a few of the distinguished guests, shall we say, wearing a dress or a suit that they had worn before. Rebel Wilson made a dig about this. She said that her dress was made from sewing 2 others together.
The red is from that one time I didn't win Miss Australia. And the black is from a funeral I just went to for the feature film Cats.
I've not seen Cats. I've heard that clip so many times this morning, still funny.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the diversity issue. No person of colour was nominated in any of the acting categories, and no female director nominated either.
Look, this is something the BAFTAs have come under fire for quite a few times before now, and it was brought up several times during the ceremony. Firstly, from the host, Graham Norton's opening speech to Joaquin Phoenix when he won the Best Actor for Joker.
I think that we send a very clear message to people of color that you're not welcome here, to people that have contributed so much to our medium and our industry and in ways that we benefit from.
Also from Prince William, who's there, he's the president of BAFTA.
Not for the first time in the last few years, we find ourselves talking again about the need to do more to ensure diversity in the sector and in the awards process. That simply cannot be right in this day and age.
And of course, no female directors nominated when there are many who thought Greta Gerwig should have been nominated for Little Women. Here's Saoirse Ronan.
I love that there was such an outcry. It got people talking so much. People are still talking about it even tonight, and I think that's a really great sign.
Saoirse's so good in that film. Have the BAFTAs addressed this at all, Sinead?
They have. I mean, look, this could be very damaging to their reputation if changes aren't seen to be being made. And they admitted they were very frustrated with the nominations when they came out, that the industry isn't moving as fast as they want. So they've announced a careful and detailed review of how voting works in time for next year's awards.
Newsbeat. Thanks to Sinead. On to a group of people who definitely had a more unusual weekend than you did.
Well, at 7:21 on a Monday morning, I'm looking out of the window. We still have police officers that are patrolling the perimeter of the site, keeping us safe, making sure we don't escape, I'm very sure.
That is Matt, and he's taking us inside that special quarantine building on the Wirral. You know, the one being used by British people evacuated from China over the coronavirus. But what's it like inside?
Right, good question. I think the best way that I can describe it is it's almost like halls of residence in university. They're apartments. The apartment has 4 bedrooms with lockable doors and a communal kitchen stroke living room. You know, we've got TVs, fridge, freezer, oven. We could potentially do a roast beef in the oven.
He could, but he hasn't. In fact, they've got fancy microwave meals for dinner, and they had a continental breakfast this morning. Matt is one of nearly 100 people inside Arrow Park Hospital. They're there to stop the coronavirus potentially spreading around the UK.
Yes, physically, obviously, we are all okay. Really, the question is more that of people's mental health, and some people are going to cope with this situation better than others.
Matt will be joined from others who've made it back from China, but in the last 20 minutes or so, we've heard one of the 11 new arrivals has been taken to hospital after feeling ill on the flight. Remember, the illness started in the Chinese city of Wuhan. There have been more than 17,000 confirmed cases of the virus. Matt has 11 days left in the quarantine building, but at least his wife, who's with him, got to celebrate her birthday yesterday.
Deliveries are being allowed from family and friends. In our case yesterday, I'd actually ordered a ring for my wife's birthday, and bless him, the assistant chief executive of the Wirral Council, David Armstrong, what a lovely chap. He went all the way to Knutsford, picked up the ring for me, and actually delivered it here.
BBC Newsbeat. Should also say Matt's wife got a cake and a bottle of champagne, although no hangover apparently. Same can't be said for England's rugby players. A right World Cup hangover for them yesterday. Our sports reporter Eleanor Roper's here.
Yes, after being runners-up in the World Cup last year, it was the first match of England's Six Nations campaign and a total disaster. A young French side wasted no time in getting stuck in. At half-time, England was 17-0 down, meaning it's the first time they've failed to score in the first half of a Six Nations game in 31 years. There's only one thing worth repeating, and that's some magic from this guy.
May chases his own kick. Johnny May. Oh, that is one-man brilliance by Johnny May.
Johnny May made things better for England, scoring 2 tries. Still wasn't enough, though. They lost 24-17. England boss Eddie Jones was trying to see the positives.
Certainly we were slow out of the blocks. We were feeling a bit sorry for ourselves, out of kilter, and let the situation get to us. But at half-time, we took responsibility for the situation, and I thought the response for the boys was absolutely magnificent.
OK, from rugby union to rugby league.
Yes, because Sean Wayne has been named as England's new head coach on a 2-year deal. He'll take charge for the home series against Australia in November. That's before next year's World Cup.
And we're off to Miami now for the biggest night in the American football calendar.
Yes, where Kansas City Chiefs managed an amazing comeback to beat the San Francisco 49ers, winning their first Super Bowl in 50 years. With nearly 100 million people watching around the world, this was a Super Bowl that didn't disappoint.
Garoppolo keeps play action, passes, caught, use check, touchdown.
With the San Francisco 49ers leading, the football was a hit, and so was the halftime show. Shakira and J-Lo co-headlined, and in 12 minutes did 20 hits between them. The show also paid tribute to basketball legend Kobe Bryant, who died in a helicopter crash last weekend. Heading into the fourth quarter, the Chiefs were 20 points to 10 down, but it was this guy that turned things around.
Chiefs need some Mahomes magic. Launches down the middle. Hill, open, caught.
As last year's most valuable player, Patrick Mahomes had been under a lot of pressure, being compared to some of the all-time greats of the game.
It's Williams, makes a cut, and will roll into the end zone for the touchdown. No flag.
But continuing with a season of comebacks, the Chiefs scored 21 points in just 4 minutes to take the Vince Lombardi trophy.
And it's good night, San Francisco.
And it's goodbye from Newsbeat.
BBC
Newsbeat.
Jasmine Evans.
Hey.
Jasmine Evans. Weekday afternoons on 1Extra.
On
air, underground.
Straight for the speaker.
It's BBC Radio
1Extra.
BBC
1Extra. Come on now. Oh yeah. We're in the building right now, representing Jasmine Evans.
Jasmine Evans.
Yo. Jasmine Evans.
Jasmine Evans.
Oh, yeah.